You've been walking around with weight on your chest that don't even belong to you. You carrying the opinions, the expectations, and the criticisms of people who ain't got nothing to do with your destiny. Let me say this to you with love, but also with truth. You care too much. You care way too much about what they say, what they think, how they look at you, what they might be whispering behind your back. And all that energy you burn trying to manage other people's perceptions of you, that energy could be used to build the life you say you want. See, you were born with a gift, a vision, a mission, but somewhere along the line, somebody made you feel like it wasn't good enough. Maybe it was a teacher, a coach, a parent, maybe it was social media. They told you your dream was too big, your idea was too crazy, your personality too loud, your path too risky. And because you cared, because you wanted to be accepted, you started shrinking, you started folding, you started hiding pieces of who you are just to fit into boxes they created. And half the time, they ain't even comfortable in them boxes themselves. Listen to me, they don't validate you. They don't qualify you. They didn't create you, so stop letting them control you. You weren't put here to impress people. You were put here to impact people, and there's a difference. When you try to impress, you perform. When you try to impact, you live with purpose. That's the difference between waking up every day stressed out, worried about likes and comments, versus waking up with fire in your gut because you know you're doing what you were called to do. Some of y'all are exhausted, not because you're doing too much, but because you're doing too much for the wrong reasons. You overthink every post, you replay every conversation, you edit yourself every time you step in a room. Why? Because you want to be liked, because you want to fit in. But fitting in ain't never been the goal, standing out is. You don't grow by being invisible. You grow by being authentic, by being unapologetic, by being you. I'm telling you, the moment I stopped caring what people thought about me, the moment I got free, I'm not talking about being disrespectful. I'm not talking about not listening to wise counsel. I'm talking about releasing yourself from the grip of other people's approval. Because if you live for their applause, you gon' die when they stop clapping. That's real. And the truth is, most people don't even know what they want for their own lives, but you letting them dictate yours. You asking people for directions to a place they ain't never been. You worried about their opinions, and they don't even have peace. They loud online but broken in real life. They judging your journey while ignoring their own. You gotta stop renting space in your mind to people who ain't invested in your growth. What if I told you that your breakthrough is on the other side of not caring anymore? Not caring about whether they understand, not caring if they approve, not caring if they laugh, mock, or doubt, because their belief in you isn't a requirement for your success. Let me say that again. Their belief in you is not required for what God already put in motion for your life. You so afraid of being misunderstood, but what if that's the exact thing that makes you different? What if the way you think, the way you move, the way you speak, what if that's your superpower? And every time you try to dim that to make others comfortable, you lose a piece of your fire. You lose a piece of your purpose. You've been looking for peace in perfection. You've been looking for joy in acceptance. But joy don't live there. Joy lives in freedom. Joy lives in being exactly who you are, flaws and all. Joy lives in the release the moment you stop trying to perform, the moment you stop trying to meet expectations you never agreed to in the first place. And let me tell you, once you get that freedom, once you get that mindset where you say, I ain't doing this for them no more, everything changes. You walk different, you talk different, you show up with boldness, you create without fear. You step into rooms knowing you belong, not because they said so, but because you know so. But it starts with letting go. letting go of the fear, letting go of the guilt, letting go of the version of you that lived only to make people happy, even when it made you miserable. You can't serve two masters. You can't chase their approval and your purpose at the same time. One of them has to go. And I promise you, when you choose purpose, when you choose peace, when you choose to stop caring about what don't matter, you win. So let them talk, let them doubt, let them misunderstand, because at the end of the day, it's not about them. It's about you showing up as the truest, realest, most alive version of yourself. That's where your happiness lies. I want you to think about where your attention goes every single day. What do you care about? Is it the noise, the endless scroll of what's popular, the gossip, the drama that doesn't add a single ounce of value to your life? Or are you focusing on what really matters? Because here's the truth, caring less doesn't mean you don't care at all. It means you're choosing what to care about. You're becoming selective with your energy, and that's selectivity. That's the gateway to happiness. Too many people get caught up in what's trending, what's hot on social media, what's the latest hype. But if you look closer, all that stuff is just noise. It's designed to distract you. It's designed to pull your focus away from your own lane, away from your own growth. You care about what's popular, about what everyone else is talking about, instead of what's truly important to your soul. You spend your time following other people's stories, other people's drama, and you forget to write your own. You don't have to be part of every conversation. You don't have to react to every post or weigh in on every debate. That kind of care, the care about what's popular, is a thief. It steals your peace, your focus, and your energy. And here's the thing, most of those things you care about don't even have your best interest at heart. They are distractions dressed up as priorities. You need to care less about what's popular so you can care more about what's powerful in your life. Powerful doesn't mean flashy or loud. Powerful means what lifts you up, what helps you grow, what aligns with your purpose. It means your health, your relationships, your mindset, your dreams. These are the things that deserve your attention and your care. Think about it. When you care about what's popular, you are constantly running after the approval of people who don't even know your value. You're bending, twisting, trying to fit into molds that were never made for you. You're losing yourself in a crowd that doesn't see your greatness because you're too busy trying to be what everyone else wants you to be. But when you care about what matters, when you put your energy into your health, your personal growth, your family, your passion, you create a life that's unshakable. You build a foundation that's solid, and that foundation is where true happiness grows, not in the approval of the masses, but in the quiet confidence of knowing you are living for you. Caring less about what's popular is hard, because society conditions us to believe that popularity equals success. But that's a lie. Some of the most powerful, successful people you admire were never popular. They were misunderstood. They didn't care about fitting in. They cared about standing out. And standing out requires courage, requires letting go of the need to be accepted by everyone. You have to ask yourself, what am I chasing? Am I chasing likes, followers, approval, or am I chasing a life that feels meaningful? Because those two things don't always line up. And if you chase the first, you might wake up one day realizing you've lost the second. When you start caring less about the trends, the drama, the noise, you reclaim your time and your energy. You create space for clarity. You get to focus on the things that fuel your fire instead of drain it. You get to say no to distractions and yes to growth. That's how you build momentum. That's how you create progress. You ever notice how the happiest people don't necessarily have the most followers or the loudest voices? They have peace, they have purpose, And that peace comes from focusing on what's important, their own path, their own progress, their own peace. Let me tell you something else. Caring less about what's popular also means protecting your mind from the toxic conversations and environments that pull you down. Social media, gossip, negativity, these are traps. If you're not careful, you'll find yourself in a cycle of caring about things that don't build you up, but tear you down. And that's not the life you want. You have to be intentional about what you allow into your mind. You are what you consume. If you spend your days soaking in negativity, you'll carry it with you. But if you choose to care about things that inspire you, challenge you, and grow you, your life will reflect that energy. Caring less about what's popular isn't about shutting the world out. It's about tuning in to the right frequency, your frequency. It's about finding your voice and letting it rise above the noise. It's about living authentically, not artificially. So I want you to start today by asking yourself this. What am I really caring about? Am I caring about what lifts me up or what drags me down? Am I caring about what builds my future or what keeps me stuck in the past? Am I caring about what fuels my soul or what just fills my time? Because the less you care about the irrelevant, the more space you create for the significant. The less you get caught up in popularity, the more you step into power. And that power, that's where happiness is born. Remember, your time and energy are the most valuable things you have. Spend them wisely. Care less about the noise, the trends, the distractions. Care more about your growth, your peace, your purpose. You're not here to be a copy of someone else's highlight reel. You're here to be the original, the realist, the most powerful version of yourself. And that can only happen when you stop caring about what everyone else thinks and start caring about what your heart knows is true. You were made for more than popularity. You were made for purpose. That's where your happiness lies. You ever notice how much time we spend trying to control everything around us? We stress about what people might say, what might happen tomorrow, how things should go. We try to micromanage our lives like we got some kind of guarantee that if we just plan perfectly, predict every outcome and manipulate every move, then we'll be safe, then we'll be happy. But that's a lie. Control is an illusion. It's a trap that keeps you locked in a prison of anxiety and fear, and the moment you realize that, you begin to taste freedom. You begin to get closer to happiness. Listen, life will throw curveballs. It will surprise you. Sometimes it'll knock you down hard and make you question everything. But trying to control the uncontrollable is like trying to hold water in your hands. The tighter you grip, the more it slips through your fingers. The more you obsess over the what-ifs, the less you live in the what-is. And that's where your joy goes to die, in the land of what-if. I want you to understand this. When you let go of the need to control everything, that's when you start living. That's when you begin to breathe deeply again. Because so much of your stress, your unhappiness, comes from fighting against the natural flow of life. You get stuck in the fear of what could go wrong, instead of the faith in what can go right. Think about how much energy you waste trying to control outcomes, people's opinions, your circumstances. How much time do you spend worrying about things you can't change? How many sleepless nights, how many anxious moments have you had because you were trying to hold on to something that was never yours to hold? And the worst part, in all that trying, you miss the moments that are actually happening. You miss the beauty of the present because your mind is stuck in the future's what-ifs. I'm not saying you shouldn't have goals or plans. You need vision, but vision isn't control. Vision is clarity of purpose, a direction you move toward with faith, not fear. Control is trying to force life into a mold that fits your expectations, and life isn't that neat. Life is messy, unpredictable, wild. And if you want to be truly happy, you have to dance with that messiness instead of resisting it. Letting go doesn't mean you give up. It means you trust the process. It means you put in the work, but you don't obsess over the results. You take responsibility for your actions but leave space for the unexpected. Because sometimes what you thought was a setback is actually a setup for something greater. Sometimes the detour is the destination. When you release control, you open yourself up to possibilities you never imagined. You stop being a prisoner to fear and become a student of life. You start seeing challenges as opportunities, failures as lessons, and delays as divine timing. That shift changes everything, and it's not easy. Our brains are wired to crave control because it feels safe. But safety isn't the same as freedom. Safety is a cage. Freedom is flying without knowing exactly where you'll land, but trusting you'll be okay. It takes courage to let go, but courage is what leads to joy. Imagine what your life would look like if you stopped trying to control the uncontrollable. What if you stopped obsessing over other people's reactions? What if you stopped worrying about the future's uncertainties and started living fully in the present? What if you trusted yourself enough to let life unfold as it should? You'd find peace, real peace. Because peace doesn't come from having everything figured out. It comes from accepting that you don't have to. Peace comes when you stop fighting life and start flowing with it. I want you to understand that happiness is not about having control over everything. Happiness is about surrender. It's about trusting the journey even when you can't see the whole path. It's about being okay with uncertainty because you know you're bigger than your fears. Every time you hold tight to control, you're tightening the grip on your own unhappiness. Every time you let go, you create space for joy, for growth, for freedom. You create space for life to surprise you in beautiful ways. So stop stressing about what you can't change. Stop killing your joy with what-ifs. Start living with faith in the unknown, with trust in yourself, and with an open heart ready to embrace whatever comes. Because at the end of the day, happiness is found not in control, but in surrender. That's where your freedom lies. I want to talk to you about your energy, the way you protect it, the way you give it away, and the way it shapes everything in your life. Your energy is precious. It's the fuel that powers your mind, your body, your spirit. But too often, we hand it out like it's nothing to people who don't appreciate it, situations that drain it, and conversations that leave us empty. And when you do that, you rob yourself of peace, joy, and ultimately, happiness. Think about how you feel after a day dealing with negative people or toxic environments. You might be physically present, but emotionally and mentally, you're exhausted. Why? Because you gave away your energy to things that don't serve you. You spent hours caring about drama, feeding arguments, trying to fix what isn't fixable, or bending over backward for people who don't even say thank you. That's a recipe for burnout and misery. Your energy is expensive. That's not just a saying, it's a fact. The way you show up in your life, the way you think, the way you act, all come from what you choose to invest your energy in. When you waste that energy on distractions, on negativity, on people who don't value you, you're setting yourself up for unhappiness. You're giving power away to the wrong things. So, what does it mean to protect your energy like your life depends on it? It means learning to say no, not just with your words, but with your presence, your time, and your mind. It means not engaging in every argument, not responding to every comment, and not showing up where you're not wanted or valued. It means setting boundaries that keep you safe from emotional and mental harm. I know some of you think, but I have to care. I have to be there for people. And I'm not saying you shouldn't care. I'm saying you have to be wise about who you care for and how much you give. Caring doesn't mean giving your whole self away until you have nothing left. Caring means being intentional, being balanced, because if you don't protect your energy, you can't be your best for anyone, including yourself. Think about the people you surround yourself with. Are they lifting you up or tearing you down? Are they encouraging your growth or feeding your doubts? Are they building you or breaking you? When you protect your energy, you choose to be around those who fuel your fire, not those who try to put it out. You become selective with your circle, and that selectiveness is a form of self-love. You also protect your energy by being mindful of what you consume. What you watch, what you listen to, what you read, all of that impacts your mindset and your mood. If you're constantly exposed to negativity, fear, and conflict, your energy will reflect that. But if you fill your mind with positivity, inspiration, and wisdom, your energy will grow stronger, brighter, and more resilient. It's about creating a space in your mind and in your life where peace can thrive. That space isn't always easy to create because life throws challenges at you every day. But when you guard your energy fiercely, you build a sanctuary inside yourself that no external chaos can penetrate. Protecting your energy also means letting go of grudges, bitterness, and resentment. Holding on to anger and pain drains your spirit. It's like carrying a heavy load every day for no reason. When you release those burdens, you free up energy for joy, for creativity, for love. You reclaim your power. There will always be people and situations that try to take your peace. There will be distractions, temptations, and drama. But when you protect your energy, you become unshakable. You don't give away your peace for temporary noise. You stand firm in your purpose and your vision. I want you to imagine your energy as a bank account. Every interaction, every thought, every emotion is either a deposit or a withdrawal. If you're constantly overdrawing on your energy without making deposits, eventually you'll run dry. And when you run dry, your happiness dries up too. So how do you make deposits? By investing in yourself. By resting when you need to rest. By surrounding yourself with people who inspire you, challenge you, and love you. By doing things that bring you joy, that nurture your soul, that align with your values. By practicing gratitude, meditation, prayer, whatever helps you reconnect with your inner peace. Protect your energy like your life depends on it, because it does. When you start guarding your peace, you start living with intention. You start attracting the right people and opportunities. You start creating a life that feels good, not just looks good. And here's the beautiful thing: when you protect your energy, happiness follows, because happiness is not a destination. It's a byproduct of how you manage your life, your mind, and your energy. When you stop giving away your power, you start owning your joy. So stop wasting your energy on things and people who don't deserve it. Stop sacrificing your peace for the approval of others. Stop feeding the noise that keeps you distracted and exhausted. Protect your energy, guard your peace, and watch how your happiness grows.